And let's bring in our CTV News political commentator, Scott Reid. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Roger.
What can we expect from the meeting with the premiers and the Prime Minister?
Well, obviously, the premiers, I think, will be quite anxious to hear an update on where things stand with the talks with the United States. We're 12 days away from that deadline of August 1st right now, but when they meet on Tuesday, it'll be even closer. So that's the first thing. But I think what will be really interesting is how much the Prime Minister and the premiers focus on securing a trade deal with the United States versus getting on with the business of trying to protect our country and our economy, even in the event that there is no deal or there's no satisfactory deal. And so I think in that sense, it'll be kind of a two-pronged meeting. One, a deal with the states and what that might mean. Two, no deal with the states and what that might mean.
And I imagine there's probably about 13, 14 different opinions on what that might mean.
Well, this is the thing. Since Mark Carney burst onto the scene, there's been a remarkable amount of consensus, by and large, among first ministers. You know, let's focus on the trade agreement with the United States. Let's try to expedite the dismantling of internal trade barriers. Let's start to work on major projects of national interest. But now you're starting to see some of that consensus start to break down. BC Premier is kind of an outlier when it comes to the idea of trying to get energy to Tidewater, at least if that comes across the province of British Columbia. And we're seeing tensions with the Premier of Alberta, which are not unexpected and not unusual, but will they intensify in this meeting? So it'll be interesting to see if the consensus that is largely struck since January will continue, or we'll start to see aspects of it begin to fragment.
Now, is Doug Ford a bit of a wild card in this? He's been calling for some tougher moves against the U.S. What do you think will happen with him in this meeting?
He's actually been consistently helpful to the Prime Minister. These meetings, the Council of the Federation, bring the premiers together under their own steam, and they tend to be a gang up on the federal government in traditional terms. We're in a unique circumstance now where there's this wider external threat of the United States and trying to do economic harm. I expect that Ford will continue to be a facilitator, continue to be helpful, try to forge consensus, try to bring people around the table with the Prime Minister. But you're right. I mean, on margins of these talks, he has been saying, let's rattle our sabers. Let's show them a little steel. Let's not get walked over. And so on the one hand, the Prime Minister might like that in that he wants to have those voices being heard by Americans. But if it puts too much pressure on the Prime Minister to strike back, then that puts the Prime Minister in an awkward political spot.
And will anything else come up at this meeting, or is it all about tariffs, Trump, and getting a deal?
Well, I'd be a monkey's uncle to say, no, there's no chance that anything else will come up. I mean, there's a lot to discuss. We see, again, the Premier of Alberta is all over the front pages of the newspapers today for handling of wildfires last year. There are fires burning this year, so we could see some discussion on whether or not there's an opportunity for a better national coordinated plan. That almost certainly would come with a request for more federal funds. So there's lots of issues that could arise. Healthcare can never be far from the agenda of premiers. It is the #1 consumer of budgets. So, I suspect there'll be some other discussion, but, the emergency of the day is the emergency of the day, and that is our relationship economically with the United States and Donald Trump.
All right, Scott, thanks as always, sir.
Thank you.
CTV News political commentator Scott Reid.